Hey everybody, Dave here. Hope you're having an awesome day. So, Toy Du Jour reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be part of an art show again this year. If you remember last year, I did an art show with them. I did the Furby the Hut. It was kind of a Furby and Jabba the Hutt mashup, and that was a pretty fun video. I'll leave a link below. But this year, their theme is Voltron, and I've got this cool little action figure, so I want to see what I can do with them and see if I can make something cool. So, come on, let's do it. So for this Voltron build, the first thing I had to do was find a toy, and I had this bendable Voltron toy, but it wasn't really easy to work with, so I was hunting all around, and I found this on one of my toy shelves, and I was like, oh yeah, I got this little action figure. Actually, Voltron toys are kind of hard to find, so this one should do the trick. I like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is use this wooden base. I've wanted to do kind of a rusted, broken down robot for a while, so this actually kind of is a perfect thing for this build. So I'm taking some insulation foam and just cut it to the size of my wood block here. Then I had all these extra scraps, so I'm kind of just trying to lay things out. This one was one that I cut with a hot wire, so it's pretty gnarly, but I think it's gonna actually work pretty nice because I'm looking to give it kind of a shelf for him to lean against and kind of nestle him into that. So I'm spending a little bit of time breaking things apart, lining it up, trying to just evaluate where things are going to sit and lay, trimming things. And at this point, I'm kind of not really finding a good composition. I'm not exactly sure what to do. So I think what I need to do is just start gluing the pieces down, and then I can kind of work and trim with the pieces glued down. So got some pieces glued down. Now I can kind of fit this Voltron figure and kind of gauge how far the leg should hang off. I think I'm going to actually cut the yellow leg off and do something with that. So going ahead and hot gluing this down. Got some little scraps. I'm going to stuff those in, little holes here and there, and just fill anything in. And that's looking pretty nice. I'm liking this composition. I might have them slouch down a little bit more. So what I'm doing here is just taking some lightweight spackle and filling all the cracks and little holes that were in there. And then I'm going to take this lightweight spackle. It is a little bit old and kind of dried out, so I'm going to put some in a cup here, and I'm going to add some water to this. And then I'm going to mix this up and then add a little bit of Mod Podge. And I'm trying to just make my own little paste that I can kind of lather over the whole thing. Added some sand in there because I want a little bit of texture on the project. And it may have been a little runny, but I just kept brushing it around, kind of filled in all the cracks. Actually worked pretty nice. It looks a little weird right now, but once this dries overnight, this should work pretty nice. So here it is the next day, completely dry. I got a few areas that cracks and some holes, but I'm going to fill that with dirt and sand. So like I mentioned earlier, I went ahead and cut off one of the feet there, and I'm just taking my utility knife and making some like it's broken. Now, one of my viewers actually sent me this tool. He was like, you make me super nervous whenever you drill with an X-Acto knife. So thanks David for this sweet tool here, an FT body reamer. He actually does a lot of RC remote control cars, so I think this might be a tool for drilling some plastic there. But just taking the Dremel here and weathering up the body as if he's been in some battle and damaged, and then went ahead and took one of the wings, broke it in half, doing some additional battle damage, and I'm going to kind of tuck this in the diorama a little bit later. Now I had this little piece that shot out, so I went ahead and pulled the spring out, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece into place, and I snipped the back of it off. And then I'm going to do a matte varnish over this whole thing so I can actually weather this up. I want to put some black wash. This is a Vallejo wash, and I'm going to cover the whole thing, not being careful with it at all, just kind of put on. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on there because if you've seen any of my videos, I've knocked over a couple of those and it is a huge mess. So just taking a paper towel, patting that off. Now I had this piece of scrap wire. I think it's from a pair of headphones or something, so I'm going to go ahead and borrow this little piece here, and I've been putting some additional wires in there, and I think this will be a nice addition. I'll just tuck that in the leg there. I'm going to glue this in a little bit later, but this looks pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. Alright, so because he is kind of out in the elements and weathered, I took some brown shoe polish, and again, I'm just kind of putting in certain locations, patting it off, and I had the brown shoe polish out, so I thought I might as well just cover the whole base with a brown. This actually helps when you put sand over the top, so you don't have that gray or the pink showing through. So adding a little bit of glue here because I want this bottom half to be dirt, and then the top half is going to be more like rocks. So I'm adding just a black wash to give the top portion a little bit of distinction between the dirt and the rocks. Putting weathering on, taking weathering off, putting weathering on, kind of evaluating it as I'm working on it. And I felt like it needed a little bit of green in there, maybe like some moss buildup on the rocks. So I'm just adding a little bit of green, take a towel and pat that off, kind of just working it over and over. And it's looking pretty good. It's a little wet right now, so as it dries, it'll get a little bit more matte and look a little bit more like a rock. I'm taking a little bit of silver and doing some chipping, and I kind of did this chipping over the entire body. I'm just showing kind of the leg portion here, almost as if some of the metal's kind of showing through. I went ahead and took some of that brown shoe polish, and I'm kind of just darkening some areas of the dirt here. You can see I've already started kind of putting a little bit of tufts of grass just to kind of get a feel for the diorama. This back corner was just too weird. It was just rock, so I went and added a little bit of sand and then put a tree in here so it's kind of growing up. And it helps give a little bit of scale and just fills out that diorama a little bit more. It had dried, so I actually mixed up a brown and a little bit of black in there and doing a little bit darker weathering just in certain areas on the dirt, so that's looking pretty cool. I took the lightweight spackle, and after I glued down the Voltron figure, I'm kind of filling any gaps or holes as if it's kind of settled down into the dirt. I'm just lathering kind of a wet glue water mixture, and I'm just kind of blending it into the existing diorama. Adding a little bit of Vallejo rust wash just to kind of give a little bit of an orange rust tint. And then I'm going to come in with some down and dirty rust, and this stuff is amazing. A little bit goes a long way, so this will really give like a rust kind of crusty feel, and it actually oxidizes and turns into this really cool thing. So I got to paint the base here. I'm going to paint this black, and I was done, and I was talking to my buddies, and they were like, yeah, it looks like if you added this one little piece, that might be kind of cool. So I think that's going to wrap it up.
All right, that was a really fun build, and it kind of itched to scratch that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've seen like Gundams and Transformers done this way before, so this was a really fun build. It's going to be held at Apotheosis Comic and Lounge in St. Louis, Missouri. The show starts this weekend, the 14th and the 15th, I believe. So if you're in the area, go check it out. This was a really fun build. Let's do some turnaround shots of this thing. As always, it's a great day to be a toy nerd. Have a great one.